So, hello, I'm Alison Barker and I'm one of the assessment team managers for Adopt Southwest. So in terms of the assessment team, we're set up for two assessment teams, one in the south and one in the north, and I'm responsible for the south of the region, which covers Plymouth, Torbay and Devon. And then my counterpart, he covers the north, which is the other half of Devon and Somerset. So we cover quite a large geographic area. We also are happy to consider adopters who live outside of our area, so into Cornwall and outside of Somerset. So if you are watching this and considering applying, just because we cover those geographic areas, please do contact us and we'll talk with you around whether we're able to accept your application. So during our stage 1 process, we will undertake a series of checks and references with you. When you complete your registration of interest, we will ask you for your details of your GP, your details of the referees that you would like us to contact, your ex-partners, and again, if there are any difficulties with any of your ex-partners, please do put on your form and we'll discuss with you before we contact them. And it's really important that we do contact them, particularly where there are children involved, and this may be your own children or this may be your ex-partner's children that you have previously parented. We will also undertake DBS checks, as well as undertaking local authority checks, school checks, health visitor checks if you've got children living in the home. And if you've got adult children, we'll also make contact with them and obtain their views in relation to your adoption application. There are a variety of other checks that we do that are standard, like CAFCAS. If you're in the forces, we'll undertake a forces check, and we'll contact your current employer and previous employers when you worked with children or vulnerable adults. So this is just an example of the main references and checks that we'll undertake, but there are some additional ones that we may request depending on your circumstances. So we undertake a variety of checks on you as an applicant or as a household, so in terms of you as a couple, and this builds up a picture of you as a couple or the applicant around your adoption application. So if you've got previous children that you've parented together or on your own, then we want to hear from them their views around adoption. And again, it's about supporting your application. So don't worry about it. We'll talk with you if you've got any concerns about approaching anybody during your assessment process. But if you also, in terms of your DBSs, again, we know that there could be things that have happened in the past, and that these were a long time ago, and that you feel completely, awful that these things happened in your past, and that's fine. There's very few things that would rule you out for adoption, but we do need to understand what's happened and how that's been resolved. And likewise with your medical, we undertake medicals on all of our adopters, and it's to understand if you've got any health issues, and that won't necessarily preclude you from adopting. But again, it might help us in terms of understanding what type of child that will be placed with you, and that might have an impact on your health. So we know that certain stresses may affect your mental health, and again, we would want to avoid that if we were placing a child with similar characteristics. So they all help us form an assessment of you when we are gathering the evidence. So please don't worry, everybody has checks and references, and we will talk through them with you. So during stage 1 of the process, we'll invite you to 1 day's training during stage 1. And this will give you an understanding of the children that require adoptive placements, and we'll also talk to you in a lot more depth around fostering for adoption, which when you come to your assessment in stage 2, your assessing social worker will talk more about with you. So that's our foundation day, which all adopters do during stage 1. And during stage 2 of the process, we offer all adopters 2 days training. And again, this builds on your knowledge and experience, which your social worker will discuss more with you during the stage 2 assessment process. And again, it's an opportunity for you to meet other adopters. We link you in with other adopters on your course, just so you've got an opportunity to talk to and build relationships with other adopters in your area. During your assessment process, we offer a family and friends day, and this is for a couple of hours, and you can invite whoever and how many ever of your family and friends that you would like to attend. And we talk to them around what it's like for you adopting a child or children, and how they can help you and support you during your adoption journey and beyond, because it's very different, as you will get to learn during the process, about parenting an adopted child, and it's very different for grandparents and aunts and uncles and friends. So it's really helpful for them to be part of your journey and build up that experience. One of the things that we're introducing from January next year is we're introducing a sibling module for all adopters. And we know that one of the, it's a national issue, is that we don't have enough adopters that are ready and waiting to take sibling groups. So we are introducing this module to try and encourage adopters to consider a sibling group. But again, there's no pressure on you to take a sibling group if you feel this is not something you want to do. But again, if you can and you're wanting to, then again, this will give you the reasons and some of the things that we can help support you with if you do choose to take a sibling group. So when you start your adoption process, we'll be sending you a workbook to complete, and this workbook has got some activities for you to undertake, as well as give us some more information about you as prospective adopters. But there's lots of useful information in there around reading lists, podcasts. There's some links to different websites that you can look at and access. So as part of your journey, we will be wanting you to expand your learning and knowledge of adoption throughout the process. And particularly if you're thinking around a child with special needs, or around a sibling group, or fostering for adoption, there's lots of great information that is on these links that you can have a read before you have a discussion with the social worker. We will also support you to register with the Adopter Hub, and this is a fabulous resource which Adopt Southwest have purchased for all our adopters as well as our staff. And there's lots of fantastic information, podcasts, lots of useful things, not just for during your assessment, but following your approval as well. As part of the reading and the workshops that our adopters attend, it is about building up a picture about the children that are waiting to be adopted. Sadly, we know that all of the children waiting will have experienced some level of trauma, either before they're born or after they've been born and they're living with their birth families. So we do need to give adopters all the information around what they could be experiencing with their child that they adopt. And it also helps in terms of us with matching you with the right child, because we know then what you can and you cannot manage. So for example, that if you know that you're not able to manage a child that's experienced drug or alcohol use, then we will then try and match you with a child who hasn't experienced that. We can't always rule it out because we don't always have that information, but we will try and work with you around how to match you with the right child. When we talk with you around the adoption plan for the child that you're considering adopting, we'll talk with you around what letterbox means. And letterbox is an indirect contact, and this is between the adults. So it's a letter from yourselves as adopters to the birth family member. So this could be the birth parent, this could be the grandparent, and again it's adult to adult, so the child isn't involved in this contact. You will keep the letters, and at appropriate time you can share this letter and the letters with your adopted child, but once it starts, initially it is just between the adults. When we talk with you around direct contact and the face-to-face contact, this will be with you and your adopted child and the birth family member. And again, this could take place once or twice a year. And again, this is something that you'll be able to talk through as your child grows and things change, if the level remains at the right level for you and the child.